Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here this morning. Sorry to hold you up, but apparently, never mind. I'm joined by various members of the city administration, including a few of the Hope 5 team, but also any number of members of the leadership of our city government. And you'll also hear this morning from Police Commissioner Ramsey and Fire Commissioner Sawyer. There are a number of commissioners and department directors from the city government. And primarily we're going to talk about many of the things going on in the city that in some instances are not directly or even indirectly related to the papal visit, but activities taking place over the course of the weekend, city government operations in general. So I want to thank the members of the cabinet and the executive team, certainly all of our partners with regard to the World Meeting of Families and the papal visit, the Archdiocese, SEPTA, United States Secret Service, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, PennDOT, DRPA, and HATCO. This is our 9th media briefing related to planning efforts of the World Meeting of Families and the visit of Pope Francis. Today's announcement is intended to get the whole city excited and involved in the papal visit. This incredible moment in history is upon us. For past briefings, we've discussed things like logistics and a variety of other pieces of information. We focused on the event footprint in Center City and transportation routes in and out of that area, because that is where, of course, the main public events for Pope Francis and the World Meeting of Families will take place. It's true, Center City and its neighborhoods will be most directly affected by road closures and parking restrictions and other inconveniences, but that doesn't mean that we've only been planning for or thinking about the Center City area. The impact of the events in Center City are specific, but the opportunity to participate is, of course, open to everyone. From the very beginning, I viewed the city's role as the host city for the World Meeting of Families as one that presents an exceptional, unified, world-class experience for residents and visitors from across the country and around the world. Our entire city is hosting Pope Francis, not just one section. When you watch the national news coverage, no one reports that Center City, Philadelphia, is a stop on Pope Francis's historic American journey. The reports say the city of Philadelphia is the host city for the World Meeting of Families and the final stop of Pope Francis's time in America. Philadelphians of every religious persuasion, as well as those with no particular religious affiliation, should certainly feel invested in the arrival of this world leader to our great city. This is really about civic pride, about using this historic opportunity to essentially tell our story to the world about our unique history, our exceptional people who call the Philadelphia region home. I've spent my career in public service touting the attributes of our great city. It's my hometown. I love Philadelphia and all that it represents, our opportunities and our challenges. And for the last 8 years, as the mayor of this great city, certainly one of the roles and responsibilities in this work is to be the cheerleader in chief. And that's what mayors do, and I'm proud to do it. And mayors all across the country do the same for their cities. I'm asking Philadelphians who are not already joyously anticipating the arrival of Pope Francis to actually get excited and to get involved. There are many things to do in conjunction with this event. It's not just about the opportunity to see or hear Pope Francis speak. The Papal Playbook, published in this past Sunday's Philadelphia Inquirer, has a list of, quote, fun to be had at venues throughout the city, like the Vatican Splendors exhibit at the Franklin Institute, and the Philadelphia Trolley Works is offering a faith, family, and freedom tour of historic churches, synagogues, graveyards, and other sites by the glow of candlelight. And just announced in the past week or so, great acts will perform during the Festival of Families on Saturday, including Aretha Franklin, The Fray, and comedian Jim Gaffigan, and it will be hosted by actor Mark Wahlberg. There really is something for everyone at the World Meeting of Families and the Papal Visit. There are people all over the world who unfortunately may never have the opportunity that we will have to welcome a leader of international importance like Pope Francis to their hometown, much less to see him in person. We have that opportunity. Let's make the most of it. In addition to the many, many, many pilgrims who will travel to Philadelphia, local residents and businesses are in the enviable position of being close enough to participate in the weekend's events. If you're a business, make sure you get your "I'll be there" items featuring Pope Francis to let customers know you're open. Residents, if you haven't done it already, make sure you get your SEPTA passes and tokens, make plans for your family and friends about which events you're attending, and decide on your favorite selfie pose. And if you've already decided that you just can't make it downtown in person for these events, you can still be involved from the comfort of your own home as you go about your regular weekend activities. Most areas of our city will not be affected by the road closures or other restrictions that will be in Center City, but the Philadelphia Police Department and the Philadelphia Fire Department will provide the same level of excellent service to every neighborhood in our city as they always do, and we'll hear from both commissioners in just a moment. Main routes like the Roosevelt Boulevard, Interstate 95, and all bridges except the Ben Franklin Bridge will remain open to facilitate people moving around and through the city and region. Public schools will be closed Wednesday to Friday, but all city recreation centers, libraries, and parks outside of the Francis Festival grounds will be open during their normal operating hours during the week and on the weekend. City health centers located outside of the Francis Festival grounds will also be open for normal hours and service. Other city services like streets, water, PGW, and L&I will have assets on standby all weekend in case there is an emergency, like a water main break or something else in any section of our city. We expect that most businesses, both inside and outside of the Francis Festival grounds, will be open and eager to serve the public, residents, and visitors. Working through the Business Resource Center, we've been able to help many, many, many businesses inside the grounds make accommodations in order to stay open for service. One item that will affect residents across the entire city, and that is trash collection. On Friday, September 25th, and Monday, September 28th, trash collection is canceled. We've mentioned this before, but we want to make sure we get the word out and clear up any confusion. Friday, September 25th, and Monday, September 28th, trash collection is canceled citywide, not just in Center City, so that our sanitation teams can assist with the cleanup operations on the Parkway. Residents with collections on those days we're asking you to hold your trash until the following week. Regular trash collection will resume on Tuesday, September 29th. Some other updates. 2 weeks ago, we announced the International Mayors Forum, co-sponsored by PricewaterhouseCoopers and hosted by LaSalle University. That will be held on Wednesday, September 23rd at 6 p.m. at LaSalle University's Tom Gola Arena. In addition to the participating mayors already announced, Mayor Mitch Landrieu of New Orleans, Mayor Marino of Rome, Italy, Mayor Gali of Puebla, Mexico, Baltimore Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake will also now join the forum. And an update for residents in the areas that will be affected by the towing operation beginning this Sunday, September 20th. In addition to the free garage parking options available to vehicles with residential parking permits, the Philadelphia Parking Authority will permit vehicles with those parking permits to park in any other permit parking districts on a limited basis. Residents of residential parking districts 1, that's Rittenhouse Square, 4, Washington Square West, 5, Society Hill, 6, Logan Square, and 10, Chinatown, may park on posted residential permit parking blocks in any district of the city from Sunday, September 20th, 2015, until 8 a.m. on Tuesday, September 29th, 2015. This will only apply to posted permit parking blocks and does not permit vehicles to be parked in violation of other parking rules that are already in effect. Residents can also park in areas of the city without residential permit parking, but they must, of course, park in a legal parking space. If you have questions about any of that information, call 215-222-9100. Today marks exactly 10 days before Pope Francis arrives in the city of Philadelphia. Now is the time to finalize your plans. We've told you all about all the preparations that we've been making as a city with our many, many partners. We want residents in our city and region to be ready to welcome Pope Francis as well. Let's all remember, this is an incredible time for our city, our region, and our nation. We'll talk about the time Pope Francis came to visit for generations to come. Let's take a collective breath and savor the moment. Now I'd like to invite Police Commissioner Ramsey, followed by Fire Commissioner Sawyer, to talk about the careful and deliberate preparations that they are making to continue delivering vital public safety services throughout the city while we host the World Meeting of Families and Pope Francis next week. Commissioner Ramsey.
Thank you, Mayor. My comments will be strictly focused on what's going on outside of the papal detail on those days. As you know, we canceled days off for all police officers around the city. Everyone will go to a 12-hour shift beginning on the 25th, right at midnight, Thursday into Friday. We hit 12-hour shifts across the city. For those officers not assigned to the detail, we will be in 3 different shifts, 12 to 12, and also a power shift, as we call it, that will be 4P to 4A, so that we have more resources at night, which is when we typically have most of our crime problems. The 6th and the 9th districts that are both located in Center City within the perimeter of the festival grounds, those officers will have their roll call outside of that area as opposed to inside. Those districts will only be staffed with administrative personnel only. It will not be an active station during those 3 days. Those officers will be having their roll calls outside of that area. Central detectives, which is on the 2nd floor there in the 9th district there, they're going to be split. The half will go to the 22nd Police District, the old North Central on the 2nd floor. The others will go south to the 1st District, and they'll work out of there. They'll still handle the cases from Center City and from Central Division, but because where they are normally housed is impacted by this, we just simply have moved them outside, but they'll still be available. So that's what's going on. We're very much aware of the fact that the remainder of the city is still active and out there, and we will have adequate coverage outside of the festival grounds. Thank you.
Good morning. For the fire department, we already on 12-hour shifts, so unlike the police, we didn't have to put our members on 12-hour shifts. But what I'm happy to say is that we will be providing the same level of service outside the box that we do on a daily basis. In fact, we're going to increase the number of medic units available from 50 to 60 throughout the whole 24-hour period. And we're going to put an additional 2 engines and ladders in service. So as far as shift work goes, we'll be operating on our regular shifts, 12-hour operational periods, and I'm confident that we'll be providing the same level of service throughout this whole incident. Thank you.
Thank you both, Commissioners. And before taking any questions, let me also make mention that we expect later on today, a few hours from now, or sometime later this afternoon, the City of Philadelphia will release on the city's website a comprehensive document that will cover all previously released material, by way of example, road closure information, public transit, emergency contact info, walking routes. Again, much of the material that we've released in the past, but trying to address some of the issues that either press or citizens have raised. We're going to try to put it all together in one comprehensive document. We've obviously, as you well know, we've had a series of press conferences and released all kinds of information during those events. We're now going to try to kind of assemble it in one complete document, so everything's in one place. With that, I'd be glad to try to answer any questions that you might have.
About the residential parking, I've heard from some citizens that handicapped people or people who are physically unable to walk long distances, some of the garages that they're being assigned to are pretty far from their homes, and they're wondering how they can get their vehicles there and then get back home. Is there any kind of help or provision available for them?
Yeah, I mean, I've personally not heard the same thing, but to the extent that you have any additional information you can share about that, I mean, if you know specific individuals, we'd obviously be glad to work with them individually, but, yeah.
Just say, I can get my car out of here, but I can't get back. I can't walk the distance back. And
Right.
I'm wondering if the SEPTA paratransit vans or anything else might be available.
Yeah, I mean, they are, I mean, they're obviously operational, but if I'm remembering correctly, I think paratransit usually operates almost on an appointment basis. So, I mean, if people call us, we will try to figure out how to get a best solution for that particular individual. But I had not heard that one, so thanks for raising it. No. Yes, Julia.
Could you just talk a little bit more? I mean, 9 press briefings, all of a sudden it's next week. What is that like for you?
It's coming. I just thought it important, and I mean, we talked about this as a team. I mean, it is 10 days. So, for instance, I mean, I come down to, Ben Franklin Parkway every day. I mean, I'm sure folks have increasingly noticed there's a significant amount of activity, for instance, in the Eakins Oval area. Literally 2 days after MIA concluded, and we had, a specific arrangement with the folks from Made in America, understanding that their move out had to be slightly accelerated to allow for the move in of the infrastructure for Papal Visit. If you're on the Ben Franklin Parkway today, you will increasingly see activity, not just in the Eakins Oval area, but increasingly down the Parkway and certainly on the outer areas. I mean, there's a significant number of porta potties out there. Part of that, you'll start to see, areas maybe slightly cordoned off because of materials being stored in anticipation of next week's activity. I mean, all this material, rather. I mean, stuff is a technical term, but all of this material and infrastructure is not going to just arrive one day. I mean, you have to kind of build up to it, then you have to protect it because you're not using it yet, and then more and more and more activity is going to take place over the course of the next, 5, 6, 7 days leading into in the middle of next week. The other part of your question, I mean, this is happening, right? And it's for all the other events that we host or are, a direct partner in those events. So, again, kind of run through the calendar. I mean, I pretty much know, January 1, Mama's Day Parade, I mean, sometimes we've had a change in route and that kind of stuff, but I mean, we know what that is. IBC, Blue Cross, Broad Street Run. I mean, you know what that's going to be. We know what the bike race is going to be. We know what the 4th of July is going to be. We know what MIA is going to be. We know what the marathon is going to be. And the thousands of walks, runs, and other things that take place in the city. No one's ever done this before. This has never happened before. So, I mean, the enormity and complexity of the, security and people and cars and, the issue that you just raised and a bunch of other things, as I said before, just about everything we're doing, we've done any number of those things at least, once or twice. What has not happened is that we are now doing them all at the same time for one event. And we don't know how many people are coming. So, I mean, other than that, I mean, it's a ball. I mean, it is what it is. It's going to be a great time in the city, and we're very excited about it. Yes?
What would you see the people that have been put off, that sit in the suburbs, who may have wanted to come, and at this point, now that we've sort of narrowed through the process and moving our way around, who may, because to me, your call is, be there, try to come, we want to have excitement again.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are saying, I'm going down the shore. What do you want to say to those people to have them come to our city for this big event?
Well, I mean, it's a free country. People can make whatever decisions they want to make. If you're out in the suburbs and decide for whatever reason you want to go down the shore, I mean, what am I supposed to do? I think that excitement has certainly been building. People have every possible piece of information, pretty much, that they might want to have. Some people will decide, this is where I want to be. Some people will decide, I want to go down the shore. Some people will decide, I'm just going to watch on TV. I'm not going to drag people out of their houses and say, hey, you got to go. It's not that, it's a joyous event. So I think that we will be pleasantly surprised as to, a great mix of Philadelphians, people in the suburbs, other Americans, and an international group of folks who will all kind of, be in this great big melting pot called the city of Philadelphia. Let's see what happens, but I'm excited about it.
Mr. Mayor, a few weeks ago, officials in New Jersey, talking about closing the bridge and their transportation issues on that side, were almost discouraging people from coming to this event. Now they've opened up parking on the waterfront. Have you had any discussions with the powers that be over there?
I have a wonderful working relationship with Mayor Dana Red, and both of us, as mayors, are committed to the success of this event, and any positive thing that can be done on the New Jersey side to help facilitate people getting here, or parking, or buses, or the bridge, or any of those items are all very positive in this regard. But the only person that I've actually personally talked to is Mayor Dana Red. The team has talked to any number of folks over in New Jersey, and I could not be more excited that apparently New Jersey is excited about Pope Francis coming to Philadelphia. Yeah, Pat. Yeah, and I'll come to you.
I'm going to ask Commissioner Ramsey, how many officers are assigned to the people detail
Yeah, so I can assure you that Commissioner Ramsey is not going to tell you how many police officers are assigned to the Papal event or its activity. And as we continue to refine our plans, we would not be in a position to talk about how much overtime or what all of those exact costs are going to be. This is it's not an exact science, but certainly given his expertise and working with our other partners in law enforcement, we'll have the right number of officers strategically placed throughout the Francis Festival grounds and throughout the rest of the city. Again, part of today's message is including the area out in West Philadelphia. We're talking about, about 4.5 square miles out of 138 square miles that encompass the entire city of Philadelphia. We still have a city to run. And as much joy and activity and excitement that we're going to have either on the Parkway or in the Independence Mall area, we still have a city to run. And people expect and will get the premier public service and public safety service, especially from police and fire.
And forgive me if this has been addressed before, but the city will be reimbursed for all of the additional costs?
Yeah, I mean, the World Media Families is responsible for covering costs, to the city of Philadelphia above and beyond what would normally be going on in the city. That is their responsibility.
Mr. Mayor, you mentioned that Roosevelt Boulevard, bridges except Ben Franklin, 95, all of them.
Yeah.
One thing we constantly hear from the public is why the Schuylkill Expressway
Sure.
being closed like that. What's
And
the rationale?
yeah.
Or Secret Service about easing that a little bit?
And I apologize because I actually had, it was very, very much on my mind last week when we had our press conference, and it just wasn't there at that moment, and I should have addressed that then. So what I'd like you to do is, I mean, as you all know the Schuylkill Expressway, I want you to visualize the following. You won't, if you were on the Schuylkill Expressway during the event, you would not be able to get off at 30th Street. You would not be able to get off at 23rd Street. You will not be able to exit at 15th Street. You will not be able to exit at 8th Street. where's everybody going to go? Schuylkill Expressway would in fact be a complete parking lot because none of the cars would be able to get off at those locations because they're all in or right near the either festival grounds, well, that's what we're calling now, the festival grounds, and also some are almost right next to the Ben Franklin Parkway. We don't want to have a parking lot on the Schuylkill Expressway. I think those two terms would be in conflict with each other. And secondly, part of the expressway from time to time will also be used for emergency vehicle movement or other movements that may take place. And so we can't have all of that private vehicle activity on the Schuylkill Expressway when 4 major exits are in fact closed and people have nowhere else to go. That's why.
People are trying to go from the suburbs down to the stadium complex and get on the AT&T station to take SEPTA in the center city. They can't get there on the Schuylkill Expressway.
You could take 95 or, I mean, there are a lot of different ways to get to South Philadelphia, if that's where you're trying to get to, and then, you know, kind of come back around. I mean, again, it's 2 days on the weekend. So one of the tough decisions is, do you have people literally stranded on the Schuylkill Expressway for hours trying to get, you know, further south, but you can't use 4 major exits at all because we can't have that traffic coming off of the expressway into the festival grounds or right at the parkway like 23rd Street. And so that was, I mean, not a lot of great options there. But if you're trying to get to South Philadelphia, there are other ways to get to South Philly other than Schuylkill Expressway. Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit about the protests for the clergy that's supposed to happen there? Are they concerned that the concessions might be taken out?
Yeah, I mean, I heard about that. We've had some discussions with some members of the clergy to try to actually mostly clarify, I think, at times maybe some really bad information that some folks had about movement and ability of, you know, parishioners to get where they're trying to get to. I know that a couple of the clergy leaders have, you know, churches that actually are not even in the traffic box, and so they would not be directly affected. Obviously, parishioners have to, like everyone else, have to figure out how to get around in that regard. But we're in I mean, anyone who has called us and talked about, you know, having a challenge or a problem, we've individually sought to address. But for what was out in the public space about some other members of the clergy having some concerns, the Chief of Staff has had a series of conversations with those individual pastors, and we're getting additional information about any other concerns that they may have. But I think a big part of some of the concerns related to bad information, which then led folks to think a variety of other things. And once those issues were cleared up, I think they felt a lot better. Thanks. Last question. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're fantastic. I don't, I mean, I have to be honest, I don't remember seeing you at some of the previous briefings. I mean, we talked about hospitals in the, you know, first, you know, 2, 3, 4 press conferences. The activity with the hospitals has been so great, I almost really kind of stopped talking about it. Hospitals in particular, because of the nature of what they do, naturally already put, if we can, for a moment, we'll just put this event to the side. You know, hurricanes, massive snowstorms, other severe weather events. I mean, hospitals, because of what they do, always have emergency operation plans in place to get, you know, doctors, nurses, medical personnel, staff, employees, you know, whomever, into their facilities. They were the first, pretty much out of the box, who we had a series of discussions with. As far as I can tell, they're all good to go. I mean, they know what they need to do. Their staffs know what they need to do because they're experts at planning for these kinds of events because they really have to be open. So they've been great, and I mean, I didn't stop talking about them on purpose. They've been fantastic. Last question, really last question.
Any comment on the controllers asking for the
Yeah, so this briefing is about what this briefing is about. I'd encourage you, if you want to talk about other issues, get in touch with Mark McDonald, Press Secretary. He'd be glad to talk with you about that. This briefing is about this. Okay? Thanks. Thanks so much.
And do not talk about it, and I'll just keep walking, because I'm sure that's what